Hi, my name is Hova, and welcome to my channel. So, I want to kind of talk to you about this channel, and this channel is I'm making a board game, all right? And it's kind of a hobby channel, so I will show you the board game that I'm working on. These characters here are from Lord of the Rings. Um, they're the Dead Army. Okay, so I actually painted these, and this was like 10 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Really detailed. So this was my first set of miniatures. And then I realized, you know what? How about I make a little terrain for them? And that's kind of how it started. So this board game that I'm making, I actually picked up more figures later on over the time span, and it got strange because it started to like take me away from actually even working on a board game. When you started just grabbing figurines and painting them. But at the same time, everything was being constructed, everything was being built at the same time. And, I've got this huge, all these different creatures and mimic. Some of these aren't even finished painting. But I'm like, I'm good with painting. I need to just start building. I need to just start putting this game together. Now, you're looking at this board game and you're like, okay, how do you play that? What is it? What kind of board game is that? And I wanted to do a PvP board game with a campaign series where you can play it with like an RPG. Just building the board itself takes just as long as coming up with the rules, because you have to understand about balancing the rules and balancing characters. And so this here would represent one of the main bosses, okay? And he would be the main boss of the stage. And when you like, eventually I'm going to rebuild this as a 3D model so that everybody could just 3D print it, and it'll be free. If they want to have this board game, they just 3D print it and then they'll have it. Okay? And you're thinking like, well, Hova, how are you going to make any money if you're just going to have them 3D print it? And it's like, well, there's ways to make money. But I want them to have it, because I want it to grow. So for me to hand it out and give it free, that's a plus. And besides, the reason it's going to be pretty amazing is because after I model it in 3D, I'm going to be changing it, giving it certain features that I couldn't do here. I mean, building this structure here was, first of all, you got to ask yourself, is it heavy? It's not really heavy at all. Like, it wouldn't even weigh 50 pounds. And you have to build it lightly, And even if you look at these terrains, it's kind of a volcano modeling scope for like kids' science projects where they use this material to make like volcano. So it's a very light base material. And before, when my first attempt of making making stone and rocks, I was using like plaster, and plaster is heavy. So something like this with plaster would be over 100 pounds. So I don't see anybody really going out to do that. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to answer is, who's this channel for? Who is this channel for? Well, it's for people that want to build a board game, to see what types of issues that are happening and what you need, and what kind of things you may have to run into and figure out. Now, I have not made a board game yet. I'm in the process of making one, and so that's who my channel is for. It's for people who are willing to maybe even give me some feedback, or it can help spawn their creativity, and having them, I may be doing something that may help them on an area that they're stuck in, and then they can move forward from there and troubleshoot how to get through it from there. So it's gonna help. Creators with their to expand their creativity. You need any suggestion or any help, or there's a lot of free information out there. So there's that. And then the next question is, what problem does your channel solve? Okay, and like I said, it's going to teach you how to do some troubleshooting and balance the game. You have to understand, like, balancing is very, we played a lot of games in the past, and we have to understand that we can't have everybody picking the same character all the time. So there has to be a balance that has to happen, because, or you might as well just make that fighting game 2 characters only. But showing the different types of diversity that these characters have, and the type of things that these characters can do, would make individuals choose this one and have a much better variety of things happening, which makes the game more interesting and fun. All right. And then number 3. Okay, number 3 is, how is this channel different, and why should people follow you? Okay, so that's the thing, because when I first started this board game, and I didn't have the social media, I didn't have any of the equipment. I was working on it in the basement. And it was real dark, and it was real bad working area, and I was in a, I wasn't even where I'm at right now. Because see, like right now, I have a wonderful, amazing place, my own little office area up here, and where I can work on this stuff. So you could kind of see the changes that is happening around my journey. Just look at it. I mean, look at other YouTubers, and if you actually were to watch their channels and just over the time start looking at what's happening around them, you could kind of see like what is happening around them, because around them, things are happening. Things are changing around them. So it's interesting, and especially with all the issues going on right now, and in the times of what's happening now. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen further on. But so subscribing to my channel, okay, that in mind. One thing that was brought up, I was learning about YouTube, okay, and I was learning from a lot of these other people on YouTube that they teach you how to have a successful YouTube channel. And they tell you that you have to start with the end in mind, all right? The end in mind. Now, I have to tell you, this board game that I'm developing, I have the end in mind. That's why it's so interesting, because I already have the vision, the full vision of it all. Yeah, it's the rule book and understanding how the PvP works, how many players can play, and understanding how long is it to play, and etc. But coming up with the concept or building the board takes just as long as coming up with the concept of the rules. And at first it was so easy. At first it was so easy because when you played it with the little nieces and nephews, you had these real simple, easy rules, which is great, because first of all, it's fun for them to understand, and it's very easy. So, as just you're gonna take things like, for instance, you want to target children too, because they're gonna grow with it, and as they grow with it, then it can get complex, and when they grow with it and it gets complex, well, their minds are capable of handling the complexity. They can copy moves from people and understand how they're doing this. So it's no different from the Yu-Gi-Oh concept. Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of a card game back in the day, and they had like little monster cards with simple attack numbers that said, well, this monster is stronger than your monster, so it's going to be able to defeat your monster. So kids can understand that. And then you had, trap cards and magic cards, and it was really easy for kids to understand, pick up. But, however, as it progressed, and became very complex and tournament style and stuff like this, you had all these teens and even older people. They could start building these stronger decks, and they'll be able to fight really complex. But okay, so is this board game a deck building game? Well, somewhat it is. So how does it? I'm going to tell you about the end game. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the end vision of the end. That way you can understand seeing the whole process of it from the beginning. All right. So what is the board game's name? Do you have a name? Yeah, I kind of do have a name, and it's a weird name. It's called Drown. Drown. Well, why would you call it Drown? What's Drown? Well, you put the word realm, right? And then you put a letter D in front of realm. So it's like D realm, like the realms, dimensional realms. So it's called realms. Interesting, right? Weird. But it actually goes into deeper than that. Because they actually fall into certain acronyms. Like, for instance, the D, not only does it stand for dimensions, because there's a lot of different things that are happening. And it just doesn't take place in the scene of elves and humans and angels and demons. It's got a lot of different races and a lot of different classes, a lot of different job types. So you're looking at kind of an RPG, kind of a World of Warcraft, kind of a League of Legends type of scene, where League of Legends is an app board game, is what it is. And this is something that I'm creating. This is what I'm creating as a physical board, all right? And League of Legends, they're ready to pick their champions, and they're ready to go at it and fight, okay? So, now as they're doing this, they're trying to clear a lane, and they have their minions trying to move forward through that. Now, that's not what my board's about, but I'm going to, as an example, League of Legends was a big thing, okay? And it's a PvP, this board game. It's made up of 4 players. You can play 4 players, or you can play 2 players. And there's also a campaign. So the campaign is kind of just a story mode through the board. Like, you can play through the board, you can quest through the board, you can fight minions and monsters and level up and get armor and stuff like that. Now, this board consists of these boss monsters, and the boss monsters are called ancients, right? We're gonna call them ancients because they're really relic type of these real ancient type of, you know, dragons, or, you know, and those are the boss for the board. All right, so I want to say that there's 6 types of classes. Like for example, what kind of creature you are, or what kind of a being you are. Okay. So, and then one of them is the undead. Okay. And the opposite of the undead, or the counters to the undead, is going to be the humans. All right. So that's 2 there. Now, the next one is called a beast. So beasts, like, I would have to say beasts are more like werewolves. I wouldn't just say beast could just be like a bear out there, or a tiger, you know. There will be more like a beast man, like a werewolf type of man, or a creature, you know. And then its counter would be the elves, right? So you had those 2. And then the next one is going to be an angel. So you had another class with angels, and its counter is going to be demons. And then the last one, the last 2, is going to be aliens, all right? Because its counter is going to be in the machines, right? Like robots. So it's strange to put these very 2. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. Wow. So there's 8 races, actually. Not. There's 8 classes, and so that means there's going to be 8 board games total. All right. Each board game is going to have its own super boss that's going to be with the campaign mode. So when you get when you buy the board, you will get the boss monster to run the campaign. And what is the boss? Well, because like on top of that, they have the job titles. So the undead, he's gonna have the job title, like what is he? There's should be 8 jobs for that. Like for instance, you can be a warrior, you can be a sorcerer. This here is of the character. It's kind of like this idea has been scratched off. Okay, like I'm not gonna use this, but it's kind of like your character. Okay, so what you're gonna display in front of you is your character. Okay, and this character, it tells you that he's an elf and he's a summoner. Okay, so what you do is this. I just wanted to put this out here to kind of show you, and it's got all the information, like you know, when he levels up, he gets this and that, and the hearts suggest that when you first start off, you're going to be, your hearts are combined with both your character and your job title. So you're going to have 2 different cards that you put together, and your life bar will determine how much life he has depending on what job he has. And when it gets to the green hearts here, it shows that, well, this is now level 2 where you get more hearts, and level 3 is the blue hearts where now you get more, you know. So I haven't really gone through it and color suggested it very well yet. But as you can see, when you're on the summoner, you only have this many hearts get added to you, where on this job, you've got this many hearts, you know, as an elf. So that's an interesting idea. If you guys want to run with that, you can. I feel free to copy that idea. But I totally scratched that. I'm not going to be using that anymore. Okay, I have a much better much better sequence, a much better way of doing it. So I just kind of wanted to show that to you. You know, I've taken 2 years of graphic design. So I want to show you this little text bar here. But I designed this. And this here, this symbol was supposed to represent like all the races. Like there was a character here, right? And then there's another character here, and then there was another character here, and they'll all hold up this information here. So it's gonna go into redesign because I have a total of 8 characters now. Because see, back then it was only 6, but now there's 8. Plus a lot of this these extra details is kind of disrupting all the characters, and then all the characters are just the same character. Like this is the same as this one, as a reflection of the mirror, you know. But it's gonna have to get redesigned into like, say this was a human and this was the undead. They would have to look and feel like that in a sense, you know. So that's going to be very interesting when that happens. So there's going to be a episode on that. So there's a lot of process to it all. So here is a card template that I made. I did design this creature here. And I did want to show you that this here was what was going into the redesign. But you know, you kind of had a, you see how this one here and this one here is different. Yeah, this one here looks all messed up. See, this one here is designed different from this one here, but it's a lot of design and redesign. So this is just a card template to kind of place like okay, you want your subscription to go in here, or like what the effect and the information goes here. So it's just a template for now. You got a name, title, and I'll have another one. I'll show you a different. So this picture here, what they have in front of them is their characters. So this guy here, he has 4 characters. No, he's only supposed to have 2. You don't want to have 4 characters. And this guy has 4, and this guy has 4. You know, you got a huge bunch of characters on the field with that much. However, you can have 4. I think 4 would be very interesting to play with. Wow, you can do a lot with 4. Okay, but as a 2-player, you want to just have 4 characters against 4 characters, and then when you play it as a 4 players, then you'll have 2 characters. So he'll have 2, he'll have 2. That way, the game doesn't go for a huge amount of time. I mean, if you have characters that are, I mean, each one of these characters are going to be super powerful. So having 4 in a team is really great. Is really a complete team already. But if you put 8 in a team, okay, my bad. Okay, here we go. So each character right here is gonna consist of, you know, you have your main character card in here, right? This is your main character. And on the side, he'll have a helmet, a sword, helmet. So you have a necklace or a hood. This is a ring. You can have either a ring or a glove. All right. And then these are what goes up here. This represents the ability. All right. So you got three abilities here, right? This is your main character. So it's real simple because each ability is controlled with the dice. So you place 3 dices on here, and each dice has a cooldown. So that's how you track down the cooldown, like League of Legends. They have to wait until their moves cool down before you can use it again. You see what I'm saying? So that's that. Alright, now the reason why the characters are set up like this, so you have your card here like this, and then these cards here that are set up behind it, they will nest behind the main card. So you have a card here and it will nest behind it, giving just a small section of your item here. That way you don't have a bunch of cards filling up a whole page when it actually just is like that. And you have another little section here coming from behind the card. So your character isn't so humongous now. It's just one card that is a little bit bigger because you got all these things nested behind it, and then you could pull the information out from under to look at the information if you need to. Or as it nests behind, you just see this little silhouette like this. You see how interesting that is? If you had a little silhouette of your card is like this, and then you have your sword is this, your helmet is this, you know. So each card will be nested like you have a little icon here that will show the sword, and then another icon here for the helmet, and another icon here for the armor, and I'll have all the information and stuff. So that's my new concept of designing characters. So when you're building your character, and then underneath, he's gonna have 2 more. So when you're building your character, down here he'll have 2 cards that go under it too, and these are just effect cards. So now your character is gonna have these 2 ability cards that builds your character. Like now your character has this ability and this ability, and that's what defines your character versus what the sword effect does to him, or the helmet effect does to him, and how much health it boosts them up with. So now when you're building your deck, you are just building your character. Okay? So it's gonna be very interesting, this idea, and then playing it with the fact of, you know, you're playing it here, and then this guy, he's gonna go, and these 2 are on the same team. So when it's his turn, then next it goes to his turn, and these 2 are on the same team. So that way everybody goes 1 turn at a time, right? Like in a clock. And every time he goes, the dice turns per turn as it shifts through people. So it's not like 1 turn. It's like it's his turn's next, his turn's next, his turn's next. So every time the cooldown dice is turning per turn. You see that? Now, however, after everything cycles through, then it counts as a round. So that's 1 round, right? So on the second round, it starts counting the turns, and then there's, you know, the vocabulary of after the round, it's going to finish off with a match. You know, so the match would end. And after the match, then it goes into the set. Like, we're done with this match. Now it's going to be a 2 out of 3 set. You got to win two matches to complete this set. So that's how the vocabulary works on that.